John's with us in Chicago. Hey, John, welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
I got a question. I have been able to save up quite a bit, a decent stash of savings, and the only debt I have is a mortgage. I've always been an avid investor, and I was lucky enough to get locked in at a low rate, about 3.25%. So just curious your thoughts, having a difficult time convincing myself to pay off my mortgage with such a low rate.
How much do you owe on your mortgage?
About $180.
Okay. And how much is the non-retirement nest egg?
About $90.
Okay. And so you don't have enough to pay it off?
Correct. So I've been trying to decide, does it make sense to just throw that chunk at that?
Okay, I got you. Okay, even though it doesn't pay it off. Okay, and what's the home worth?
About $520.
Good. Okay, and how much do you have in retirement?
401k of about $150. IRA and Roth of about $100.
Okay, how old are you?
35.
Okay, good. You got a great start. What do you make a year? Household income?
Household income is $140.
Oh, great. Yeah, you're in great shape. You're doing great, man. Okay. Well, here's what we teach, and then more importantly, why we teach it. Okay. What we teach is a thing called the baby steps, where you're debt-free, everything but the house, and have an emergency fund. That's 1, 2, and 3. You've done that. Then we suggest at baby step 4 that you start investing in retirement, 15% of your household income. Are you doing that?
I am, yeah.
So you got $25,000 going into retirement accounts a year, $2,000 a month.
Yeah, but 10% in my 401k, and then about another 10% just goes into savings.
Okay, but it's not going into retirement.
Well, yeah. 10% is going into the 401k.
Okay.
That's retired.
So we suggest, I'm just trying to clarify where you were on what we teach, and then I'll go back to why.
Sure.
Okay. So 15% of your income going into retirement is what we would recommend. And so that would mean you would put 10% in your 401k and 5% more into Roth IRAs in good mutual funds. And in your 401k, you'd be in good mutual funds. That's baby step 4. 5 is kids' college. Do you have kids?
I do.
And you need to save for their college, right?
Right.
Is there something independent of what we've talked about that's covering that I don't know about?
I do have 529 plans.
How much is in those?
About 75 between the two of them.
And they're how old are kids?
5 and 8.
Okay, so you got a really good start there. Good. So we can kind of check that box, and you just keep adding. You've been adding systematically to that, it sounds like, and you'd keep doing that. 6 is pay off the house early. So above 15% going into retirement and above kids' college check, we would say throw everything at the house, which is the $90,000 that's in discussion here, unless you don't have an emergency fund. If you don't, we'd use some of the $90,000 for that and throw the rest at the mortgage. Why would I do that? Okay, and the reason is very simple. As we've studied millionaires over the last 25 years, and we just completed the largest study of millionaires ever done, over 10,000 of them, we find, to start with, that somewhere in the neighborhood, 79% inherited nothing, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 90% inherited not enough to make them millionaires. So 90% of millionaires, in other words, are not millionaires because of inherited money, but because of their habits and what they do with their money. And the two primary things we see that those habits that cause them to be successful, meaning hitting $1 million net worth and above, is the primary initial levels of wealth. The first $1 million or $2 million is 401k and a paid-for house. Now, the paid-for house not only is going up in value and stabilizes, but we do not find them saying, I'm going to borrow as much 3.5% money as I can borrow because I can invest it and make a better rate of return. We do not find them doing that. We find them getting the house paid off and using the increased cash flow of not having a house payment to then go bananas on their investing, and their 401ks and non-401k investing starts to go through the roof. But if we fast forward your situation like 5 to 7 years, and you're sitting in this house, by then it's worth 700, and by then you'd have 500 in your 401ks, probably 700 in your 401ks. You'd have about $1.5 million net worth, $1.7 million net worth, of which 700,000 is your house. You would be typical in the case study that we've done. You'd be a typical case study of the representative statistically of the typical millionaire. If, however, you didn't pay off the house, you might still reach millionaire status, but you would be very unusual among that group. So the data points tell us that the millionaires are paying off their house. Now, why would they do that? Because of risk. Because 100% of the foreclosures occur on a house with a mortgage. And when you have zero mortgage and you walk in the backyard and the grass feels different under your feet, it's mine, by God, kind of thing. It changes the way you operate the rest of your money because you're standing on such a more solid foundation to live your life. A lot of people change jobs because they're no longer worried about losing something. They were in a job they hated just to pay bills. They change careers. They take a little bit of more calculated risk or something, and we see their incomes go up overall. And so it's more than just a 3.5% mortgage versus mutual funds return. There's risk in there, there's life in there, there's stability in there, and that's why we're seeing these millionaires do that. So all of that to say, I would pull enough out of your $90,000 if you don't have a separate emergency fund to fund an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. I'd throw the rest of it at that. I would adjust your saving by up 5% into, so you got a total of 15 going into retirement, 5% more going into Roth IRAs and good mutual funds. I think your kid's college is on track. I keep doing that. Throw the rest of it at the mortgage, and then anything else you find in your budget that you were saving above that 15%, I'd throw it at that mortgage till that mortgage is gone. I think your mortgage will be gone in about 3 years, and you would never borrow on a paid-for home to invest, and so you wouldn't keep a mortgage. Hey, good question. Thanks for letting me walk through it with you.